Talking Tesla. Tesla.
I'm not sure if like my foot should be on the brake or the accelerator.
Because they put reins on Elon.
It must be some sort of geometrical algorithm.
I don't think you need to touch the steering wheel there, Tom.
Oh, I'm sure there's some math. So SpaceX, here's the deal. Landing a rocket on a drone ship is key. Charger.
How am I expected to drive a car without autopilot? Safely.
Charger. You know, I'm not a good parker, Tom.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit it. I just think that this is a car company that is run by super geeks. All the other cars are going to be stupid cars compared to this car, Tesla.
You don't even have to remember that. You've got a Model X. I have seen the future, and it is light pole charging.
No, I wouldn't call it a screw-up. Do you like your Model X?
God, it's beautiful.
Welcome, everybody. It's been a week, and I've been thinking about all the stuff that Tom said about me on the last Talking Tesla, but this is now Talking Tesla 198. We're getting close.
So close.
But we're not getting close to Joel Sapp recovering. So everybody send Joel Sapp some love, some good thoughts.
He's still sick.
He's still recovering.
It's been a
He's not
week,
sick.
Joel.
He's recovering.
From what?
He's just recovering.
Illness.
What illness does he have? Does anybody know? Is it because, I'm sorry?
Homa. That is the Swahili word for like a cold.
Wow. I'm really glad that's what that was.
I thought you said he was in a coma. I was like, no.
He's not in a coma.
I was like, what is happening?
He's got Homa.
Coma.
I mean, it's been
Homa.
like since the last show, it's been 10 minutes. I mean,
The joke.
week.
Why is this the new joke of ours? I don't
Such
like
a
that.
silly
it
joke
is.
because I've had a week to think about how you, Tom, thought in that letter last week that you read about 3 clowns and one of us was a joy to listen, and you thought it was me, and I just blew it off because that's sort of me being silly, but I'm really touched. I've been touched all week. I've had this warmth in my heart.
that's the tequila.
I haven't had any yet,
Oh.
but I did bring a bottle of G4 4th generation Blanco tequila to the studio today. Very excited to share with my buds. Here we are. Talking Tesla 198, the long leg show. What should we start talking about? I was going to suggest we talk briefly about
Like a blizzard. When we drink, we do it right. Getting slizzards. The scissor in my ride. Like 3-6. Now I'm feeling so fly. Like a G6. Like a G6.
we have to wait 2 more generations.
Now, is this going to get taken down by YouTube or somebody?
I don't know. You said G4. It reminded me of that song. I love that song. Like a G6. You know what a G6 is? Do you guys know what a G6? What the reference is there?
Tell me.
It's a Gulfstream private jet.
Oh, I was going to think.
Gulfstream 6, the G6. Very
I was
popular.
thinking of like the G-Wagon, but
No,
that's
no.
not too far
No.
off.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, if like $50 or $60 million, but I mean, you know,
But
whatever.
still, it's up in the stratosphere as far as SUVs go.
The G6?
Yes.
The
No,
G-Wagon.
G-Wagon.
The G-Wagon. Yeah. But it's not a Gulfstream.
When are they going to have a
airplane.
G Tesla?
Gee, I don't know.
Maybe
Gee,
we
I
should
wish
just-
this was a more interesting show. Gee, what am I doing here?
You know you like that music, and don't tell me that
I
you
did
did.
love that music, but I'm worried it's going to get a takedown order from us.
It's going to be fine. It was like fair use, 10 seconds in an educational
Fair,
program.
I think the term is fair dinkum. Fair dinkum, we just did that. I'll be speaking a lot of
All
Australian.
right, so-
Look, I do want to apologise straight up front here because
It's never
this show
good.
is being brought to you by G4 Tequila.
Like a
And
G4.
here's how this goes, is that for a little while it's like a normal show, stupid. And then what happens is that everybody thinks that they're being really funny, and they're not. And they start to slur their words, and they speak slowly.
And how's that different than a normal show when we think we're being funny when we're not? Like we
We
continually
really
laugh
think.
at our own jokes.
But then there's slurring of the words and things like that. And it's like you've been invited to a party where you're not allowed to drink and everybody else is. And it's the lamest thing.
That's like every party at your house, and it's not
So-
that we're not allowed to drink. It's like we cannot drink fast enough to get the booze out of your hands.
So here's what you got to do. If you want to enjoy this particular show,
Yes.
go to the bar, get your favorite, and begin.
No, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna take it easy. I'm having one little tiny sip of tequila, just because you can't control
I
yourself.
can't. That whole thing is gone.
Yeah. So what you're really saying is, I,
It's called
Mel
for help.
Herbert, am going to be slurring and thinking I'm funnier
No,
than I am. Which
here's
is,
what's going to go on. Because I'm a quite elderly man, after I've had just a couple of drinks,
Yes.
I have to go to bed.
quite elderly.
So I probably won't finish the show.
Okay.
But even if I hadn't had a bit of the G4, I probably wouldn't have finished the show.
All right.
So just putting it up there front. If I happen to be the one that you like the most, I'm sorry. If you're the person who happens to like it the most, when I leave, you're welcome.
You're going to love this. Is the show for you. 198.
So, Tom, remember, hit save and that one as well.
Yeah.
When I leave.
Good luck with that. So, but we're going to start the show because a very, 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 very important piece of information came out between the last time we recorded and this time that we recorded. I've sent you a link, both of you gentlemen, a link. So look at your messages.
I think it
open
came
the
out
link.
before the last show.
It probably did, but we
were going to talk about it, but we didn't.
But we didn't.
This is huge. This is big. This is large. This is grand. This is enormous. This is big.
I have a feeling that this is going to be the show that Mel is probably the most angry. And this is a man who has been angry at supercharging, at tweeting. Not that I haven't. I'm not trying to throw him under the proverbial electric bus. But here is the headline from Car and Driver. And it's been everywhere. You can find it on
Car and Driver, for example.
It's like he doesn't pay attention. We try to do these things.
It's been a week.
You can find
Give him
it,
a break.
You can find it on. Thank you very much. And all of your other Tesla-Ratis, I'm sure, all of them have done this story.
We love those guys.
And now, nicely done. And now you'll find it on this show. And the headline is, in Car and Driver specifically, Tesla tells California DMV that FSD is not capable of autonomous driving. So, what the hell is it capable of? It's called full self-driving. Is the self me? Am I the self?
Yeah, that is basically what they're saying here, is that we've got a car that with all of the technology we've put on there allows you to drive yourself. So therefore, it is full by yourself driving.
As long as you can drive,
right?
Have a license to drive, are in a car and driving, it is full self-driving.
It is FSD.
Okay.
Absolutely. Right. And I don't think anybody is upset about it. I mean, I think that the fact that I've spent personally $98,000 on full self-driving the last few years, and I have been, in fact, driving by myself, there's nothing to be upset about. They said it was me, the self, and I have done it.
It's myself driving. It's full myself driving.
Yeah,
they just left out the
full by myself driving.
So you're saying that Tesla Autopilot is, in fact, full by yourself driving.
Yes.
Or you could call it full, I'm driving myself.
Yes.
Driving.
See, this is the part where I said, we think we're hysterical right now, and we're not.
No, but we're never hysterical. And
That's
again,
true.
like, we haven't had that much drink. But this is
I'm
actually
really glad that
this is a big
between
deal.
the three of us, we have spent probably northwards of $30,000 for full by yourself, driving.
Well, I mean, between the three of you, the two of you, I've never paid for it. I've bought
you have
enhanced
some,
autopilot.
yet-
I bought enhanced autopilot, which they didn't say anything about to the DMV.
So it's not enhanced full by yourself driving?
No. There was enhanced.
Do you feel good about the fact that you didn't pay for it, but you got it?
Yes.
Full by yourself driving that you didn't pay for, you
That's
got.
true. That's true. I paid nothing, and yet I can drive myself fully. I can fully.
You have been and continue
I
to
can fully
do.
drive myself. You know what? I know we joke about this a lot, and sometimes it's funny, and sometimes it's not funny. But this is not funny. This is not good. This goes against basically everything Elon has a story, or let's not call it Elon. Tesla has a story about full self-driving that they have, let's say, told us, the general population.
So that's one story.
The one story.
Right.
And then there's another story that they're saving for the California DMV officials that They're both SAE Level 2 automation. And we know you're upset, Nell. And what I really want to find out is Robert's perspective. I think the most important person in this room, because we know what I think about it.
The most important person, or the person who's just a joy to listen?
He's a joy to listen. The person that is literally a joy to listen to. I want to know what you personally felt, when you first saw this,
Yes,
and how you feel now.
Well, I don't want to get Tesla in trouble, but what I actually feel is that they're saying, I guess Tesla has the proverbial speaking out of both sides of its mouth. Tesla is speaking to us, being the sort of fans and the people who follow very closely, and who, by the way, drive tens of thousands of miles engaged in some version of full by myself autopilot, but also enjoy it quite a bit. In fact, I was in the car with you earlier last week with you, Tom, and we were driving.
Last week.
We were driving together to Glendale to see a beautiful camper, and you said twice to me, do you know where you're going? You should be in autopilot because you missed that exit.
He really is not a good driver. Or maybe he's just not a good reader of navigational systems.
Well, there was a lot going on. You were talking to me while you were on your iPad, and there was a lot of details.
And in your defense, and like I said to you in this car, you're a healer. So you get a little bit of a pass because you're a healer. But there was a letter.
Yes.
A key correspondence dated December 28th, 2020.
Dateline.
Between Tesla's Associate General Counsel, Eric C., and the C stands for Counsel, Williams, and the California DMV's Chief of Autonomous Vehicles Branch. How cool would that be? How cool is that title? Mm-hmm. Miguel D. Acosta, and we don't know what the D stands for either. The letter details the capabilities of both autopilot and FSD, and I quote, currently, neither autopilot nor FSD capability is an autonomous system, and currently no comprising feature, whether singularly or collectively, is autonomous or makes our vehicles autonomous, unquote, Williams states.
Currently. So you're saying there's a chance.
Is that what you took away from this? That there's a chance?
There's a chance.
Okay.
Currently. That is a word.
But I believe they were referring to the beta system in this particular instance, right? Because Tesla turned on FSD beta. There's 2,000 people in various places upon the planet driving full self-driving beta.
Right. This was
believing
well,
that it's an autonomous driving system for them, or more autonomous capable.
No, I disagree.
Okay. All
Is
right.
this
I
not actually a big deal?
disagree.
This is basically them saying, we know we can get in trouble if we release FSD before the California regulators say we can. So they're saying to the California regulators, no, don't look here. We are not letting people drive full self-driving. We're telling them that it's a 2A, you've got to be in full charge, which they are in fact doing. They're saying it's a beta, you're in charge, the car is not ready. But that's currently.
Right, but this is on the heels of a December 2020 holiday update that Elon Musk himself said we will have an FSD sneak peek, in which Acosta informed Williams that deploying an autonomous vehicle on California roads
without
requires a permit.
Yes.
A permit that Tesla did not have, has not requested, has not fulfilled the paperwork, and the reason they have not is because the full self-driving beta is not an autonomous driving system.
That is true. And so this is why I was saying Tesla's speaking out of both sides of its mouth, because Elon got on the Twitter and Elon did the thing that he does. He tweets a little bit ahead of what should have been tweeted and said that he was going to release full self-driving. He didn't say that it had limitations or that you had to watch or whatever. And he signaled the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles here in California, to throw a conniption fit so that they started chasing down Tesla and saying, wait a minute, what is this you're going to give to anybody who wants it with a button in the car? And following goes all these emails. And in the reality, what it ends up being is a non-story.
It's not a non-story. I mean, I think it's a non-story in the sense of it's a messaging problem.
Yes.
Right? It's a messaging problem because on one hand, again, publicly, Elon says full self-driving beta, and that gets all the headlines. Right? Everybody's like, oh, full self-driving beta. That moves the stock. That moves public opinion.
True.
And all kinds of things that are potentially problematic. But the people who are in the beta program, and he had this back and forth with them as well, get a disclaimer, make sure that you're always paying attention. So you're getting this full self-driving beta. We think it's pretty good, but we are relying on you to pay ultra, uber, super high level attention to it.
Right.
So at the end of the day, this is a nomenclature problem, but it's not good.
Or a messaging problem.
But it's not good.
Yeah.
He needs to not do it. And I don't know what else he can call it.
Well, I mean,
Besides
Mel's told
calling
him
it
this.
FSD beta.
Mel's told him this many times.
And he doesn't listen. I'll say, Elon, listen.
Uh-huh.
And he doesn't.
Okay.
Maybe he wants to hear it in an Arnold accent.
No, who does that sound like? That's not at all Arnold.
So if you get to just level 3, what do humans do in the driver's seat? Level 3, you are not driving when these automated driving features are engaged, even if you are seated in the driver's seat.
Well, so Tesla requires you to keep a hand on the steering wheel to keep what they call autopilot going. So that takes you out of level 3. That would mean that you wouldn't have to hold the steering wheel.
It's full self, by yourself, hand on the steering wheel, driving.
Right. Also, a key part of the difference between level 3 and level 4 and 5, which level 4 and 5, are we in agreement in this room that level 4 and 5 is the holy grail? That is full self-driving.
Level 5 is the holy grail where you don't even have a steering wheel. It can drive you anywhere, anytime, under any circumstances.
Fair.
Not
Thank you.
geofenced.
So level 3, when the feature requests, you must drive if you're in the car. When the feature requests. So even
Yes.
level 3, that there are times where the vehicle is going to request that you drive. When you get to level 4...
I appear to have driven us off a cliff. Could you take over now? Not helpful.
No, too late. It's too late at that point. So level 4, these automated driving features will not require you to take over driving. So they may stop driving,
Yes.
but they will not require you to take over the driving.
Yes, it'll drive, and then it comes to the cliff edge and stops and says, I don't know where to go from here.
Right.
You take over, meatbag. Meatbag meaning human.
meaning human. So again, I don't know how far we are from that. Obviously, the DMV is concerned about the permitting situation. There are a lot of letters back and forth that, in my opinion, if you read them in detail, they don't look good. It doesn't look good for what's going on, for where we are, for where we hoped we would be at this point.
But again, I think this also boils down to we are involved. We talk about a very complex situation. Autonomous driving. It took me a year of talking about it to kind of get my head around what does it really mean? All of these levels and the nuances. And am I in autopilot? Am I not in autopilot? I could put my hand on the steering wheel and still not pay attention to anything that's going on around me. I could literally fall asleep with my hand on the steering wheel. Some people shove oranges in the steering wheel. There are ways to jack the system. And is that autopilot? Isn't it? So it's really complicated. It's nuanced. The Department of Motor Vehicles or other regulators may or may not understand all of the levels to it. I don't think all the Tesla owners understand all. It's just getting more complicated. And I think that it's difficult for Tesla to navigate the whole system of making sure everybody understands what they're getting themselves into And it's kind of up to us to help educate everybody that when you engage autopilot, you grab that right stick in your Model 3 or Y and you double click it down and you're on the freeway. You still got to look around. You got to make sure cars that are around you that are driving erratically, trucks where maybe they're starting to swerve into your lane, some weird construction coming up. You can't trust the car to do it all. You've got to pay attention, and you cannot consider this full self-driving. It is full by myself driving.
Yes, it is.
But let me ask you this. Both of you have purchased this thing a couple of times.
12 times.
What is, when you bought it the first time, way back in the day, what was your expectation? What were you thinking you were buying? Do you think you were buying the ability at some point to have a level 5 vehicle, a level 4 vehicle, what was your impression of what the product you were purchasing is?
I was thinking I was going to get a level 4 full self-driving car soon because it came out and there was the hype, and I'm like, wow, they've cracked this soon, like 6 months, a year. And that was 3 years ago.
And they showed you a Model X driving from some guy's garage out onto the street and all the way to the Tesla offices in Menlo Park or
So I thought it was level 4. Level 5 is going to be really hard. But level 4 and soonish and a little bit of an overpromise.
Okay, but I agree. Then the question is, what's the summon feature?
Full self-driving without you.
Yeah.
And how long have the cars been doing that on the maybe those aren't technically the roads in California, but those are in public places, like theoretically in a giant mall, that car should be able to come to you without anybody in it. Is that a violation?
I don't think it's on public roads. I don't think you can engage it on a, quote, public road. You can do it in a private parking lot, and then it's not considered driving.
So your car's parked out front.
Yes.
And for the next show, after this show is done recording, for the next show, we will go out there.
The one we're recording in 10 minutes?
No.
Okay.
Then when we're recording in a week or two, we will go out there. It's a public road.
Yes.
And we will see if we can summon your vehicle, how it reacts.
Yes.
And if it reacts,
I will eat my
and
hat.
comes. No, I'm not asking you to eat your words. This is just a test of the situation. Is it set up to not do that?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't
I'm
think
just
it is
bringing it
set
up.
up to do that.
Like I have used Summon. I have used it in parking lots. It has come to me. It has come 400 or 500 yards, right?
I also think it's speed locked, so it can't do summon.
But that doesn't matter
than 15
because
miles an hour.
There's nothing about the levels, right? Like level 5 driving at 5 miles an hour is still level 5 driving, right? Like that doesn't matter to the definition of the level 5 driving. I'm just saying that like they trusted enough in some instances to have put the summon feature on it, which is a zero driver intervention situation. Now that car can stop in the middle, and that's what it does. So it really is, I guess I would say summon's probably level 4 automation, right? Which means, like it will.
But it is geofenced. I guess
how
level
is it
4
geofenced?
Because it's geofenced to non-public roadways.
Level 4, like the definition of level 4 is not geofenced. You're saying summon is geofenced.
No, I'm saying level 4 is geofenced.
Not according to the definition by SAE International.
I thought it said it was only in certain places that it could be fully autonomous.
It says level 4, these automated driving features will not require you to take over driving. These features can drive the vehicle under limited conditions. And will not operate unless all conditions are met. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could go into
I think that's what the geofencing is.
Local driverless taxi. These are example features. Local driverless taxi pedal steering wheel may or may not be installed. So theoretically, in level 4, if you have no steering wheel, if the car can't drive, it just stops.
Yes.
It doesn't ask you to drive because you may not be in there.
Yes.
It just stops driving, pulls over to the side of the road, and it's like, level 4, I guess. I wish I had level 5 and I had one more all conditions kind of situation. So I don't know, man. It doesn't look, this doesn't feel good in any way, shape, or form. What's gone on between Tesla's general counsel and the DMV, the California DMV's lead.
No, I think this is a
person.
mea culpa of sorts, or not even a mea culpa, because they didn't say, I'm sorry. They just said, like, holy shit, we need to back out of what was going on Twitter and confirm with the lawyers out there, the ones who do class action lawsuits and the Department of Motor Vehicle, that this is in no way full self-driving. This is full by yourself self-driving.
Okay.
So you're saying,
Who?
that maybe Elon let his mouth and twittering and marketing get ahead of the right thing to do?
I don't know what the right thing to do is. Again, like, was the right thing for them to do to continue to develop this on their own dime until it was ready, or to continue to develop it on our dimes? It feels like maybe on their dime.
I think it's very interesting. Well, I think all of us knew that this was beta. You have to be in charge. We say it every week. This thing is not baked. It's not ready. You got to be in charge.
Right. It's like
and
a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, an 18-year-old,
and
a drunk
FSD
20-year-old.
beta. The beta is like, that means you are the FSD again. So I think we understood it, but it's got to be very careful about what you say out in the Twitterverse. They could have been a little bit more under the they could have not put it on Twitter. That's what I'm trying to say.
On the down low?
That's the one. On the down that is low. He just, we talked last time, which was 2 weeks ago, but really 10 minutes in this weird universe that we live in. We could do a poll. Has Twitter helped Elon more than hurt him? This is another instance where it's hurt him.
Right, but it's hurt him. But this has been just going on for so long now that's what's frustrating, is that at some point, enough is enough, right? We were promised we're going to drive across the country with no interventions.
But we were only promised that 4 years ago? just a while ago.
But that promise sold you full self-driving a couple of times. My guess is that particular thought in your head, that sentence, that whatever it was that he implanted was like, oh, well, they're 6 months away from driving across the country. Of course I'm going to give you $10,000. I better get it now because the price is going to go up. Right? How many times did he sell us that on Twitter? How many times has he raised the price of the goddamn thing and raised my ire on this very show?
Yeah, but it's full self-driving, Tom. You get to do it yourself.
Full self.
It's full of self-driving. I don't know, man. It's just it's
interesting. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
These transitional periods always are. We're in the transition. We're going through the change, Tom. We're going through the change.
And that's fine, but man, like, I think that all of that we've just discussed, on top of the fact that you've purchased it multiple times, in my opinion, what you've done with these letters, right? No, what you've done, what he said, attached to what you've done, what Robert's done, what thousands of people now listening to this show have done, in some way, shape, or form feels like fraud that was perpetrated by what is now a $600 billion corporation.
Fraud seems a bit over the top. It definitely could be viewed as disingenuous, perhaps, or at the least poorly executed. If he had said from the beginning, we're going to sell you full self-driving by your self-driving, which is kind of like full self-driving, but not at all like full self-driving. It's kind of like level 2, nothing like level 5 full self-driving. That would have been clearer. would you like that, Mel? I probably would have gone, yeah, I'll give it a try because I'm an idiot. But he didn't. He made me think that one day I could, drink shardies and be in the back of the car in 6 months. And there wasn't any timelines on there. And there's probably going to be some lawsuits. Not that they're worth anything.
Would you join a class action lawsuit to get one of your $10,000?
I wouldn't
back?
join a class action lawsuit because they're a waste of effing time. The only people that make any money are the lawyers. When you join a class action lawsuit, you get like 17 cents.
But they do send a message, right? They do send a message about corporate governance to a certain extent and
Why
honesty.
don't they just fine them and give them money for homeless shelters? That would be more
Done.
efficient.
Like, sign me up for that. But
you didn't pay for autopilot.
But what's the fine? Fine. Sign you up for that.
Oh, so you hate the homeless?
No. I didn't pay for full self-driving.
Yeah, and that's how we get money for the homeless. So therefore,
Okay, yeah, fine. If that's where this is, this whole thing is going to
that
end
means
with
the end of
if the whole thing is going to end with that being the takeaway, then awesome. Really glad we got you a glass of tequila.
I told you this would happen. I told you.
Super great. You did warn me. That's for sure. You did. You definitely did warn me. But I guess takeaway, Robert, I'm going to give you final takeaway. Do you feel good about this still, knowing what you know now?
I don't feel any different. I'm enjoying the feature that I have in my car. It is very valuable to me. It makes my driving experience much, much better. And, but I'm a small fraction of the people who've paid for autopilot. So I can't speak for everybody. And I feel bad for all the people who expected, which I did originally, expected a really big, like, drive me to New York while I'm sleeping in the back of my car, or drive me to San Francisco while I take a nap because I want to go and I don't want to pay for a plane or I don't want to have the fuel, put out all the carbon. I want to do this all by myself, or I want to put my car on a network and I want to make some of the money back. I feel a bit slighted there, but
The Tesla network.
How about you?
I feel slighted mostly by myself because when I think about, I'm an anxious passenger. So even when my wife basically can't drive, even though she's better than me and my son, I have to drive when they're around because I've got really an anxiety disorder. And I should have known that even with autopilot, I disengage that thing constantly. Because I'm driving next to a truck and I feel like it's too close and I move it away. So for me, I'm the worst person to be testing this thing. And I should have had the insight to know, you know what, let Robert test this and I will buy it when it's fully baked. And then I'll be in the back and I won't watch what's going on. So I'm a bit upset at myself, my insight.
Yeah, but I think it's hard because a lot of people have spent a lot of money on this, dude. Like, and it's different for you in some ways, and it's different for Robert in a lot of ways, right? Like,
if I was
not
pinching
that money
pennies,
isn't
I'd be pissed.
Right,
I would be furious.
big time. And even today, right, on the website, and the app, you open the Tesla app on my vehicle, and it says upgrades eligible, autopilot upgrades, full self-driving capability. $5,000. Full self-driving capability. 5,000. Hold on. Navigate, and the features underneath it in bullet points. Navigate on autopilot, auto lane change, auto park, summon, traffic light and stop sign control. There's no disclaimers.
Yeah, there is. It's in
not here.
It's in the capability part. They've passed the English language here so perfectly. We're not saying it does full self-driving, but it's capable. And then you have to put on the timeline. Is it capable now or will it be capable later? That was written by a genius.
I think you're parsing that out too much, right? If it has full self-driving capability.
No. If it was full self-driving, it's like full self-driving. And list it out. But they don't say that. They say full self-driving capable.
I feel like you're hearing what you want to
future.
hear out of that, personally.
I always hear what I want to hear.
I do feel like you're hearing what you want to hear. Because if you're just a normal person, not that you're abnormal or whatever, but if you're just like, open your app and you're like, oh, full self-driving. That popped up on my app today. I have my car is full
you got
self-driving.
full self-driving capable. And he's said that a number of times, if you've followed him, and you have, about we've got all the equipment now to one day have full self-driving.
Yeah.
We're just using passive photons and we've got faster processors. And one day you'll have full self-driving. It's not there yet. But I agree that if you're a layman who comes along and you would read that, I'm like, what? It's got full self-driving?
And
But
if it was Dr. Herbert's cure-all for colds and it costs you $10, that would be one thing. But when it's full self by yourself autopilot costing $10,000, that is considerably more of an issue. Are we done beating this dead horse?
Oh, this horse is fully dead.
Yeah. What's next, Robert?
I have an even bigger story. Or maybe
how could it be bigger?
maybe a smaller story that has to do with this.
A Coke can?
A Coke can. I'm holding a can of Coca-Cola.
I was wondering why that was on the table.
I don't drink Coca-Cola.
How much
I
sugar
don't
is in that
recommend
thing?
anybody drink
How many grams
Coca-Cola.
of sugar
so
are in
This
that
has
12?
39 grams of pure sugar made from high fructose corn syrup, which is extremely detrimental to your health. So I do not recommend you drink this. But the reason I have this Coke can is because there is an English professor, a senior lecturer in mathematical biology at the University of Bath, who calculated.
What the hell is mathematical biology?
I know.
Nobody knows.
There's a book. He wrote a book. He's the author of the book, The Math of Life and Death.
I was told there will be no mathematical biology on this show.
It's a fascinating book. In fact, I might make that my next media pick. And this can of Coke will hold all of the coronavirus that have affected humans in the last year.
12 ounces?
What the hell?
What the what? I've got this article in here from theconversation.com. Kristen Yates, he's a genius to me. I've quoted this man at least 10 times this week. He says that he was approached by people at the BBC about this question of how much coronavirus there has been. Like, what are you talking about? Like the volume, because he is a mathematician of biology.
And let me get one piece of clarification from you. So let's say one piece of virus enters Mel Herbert's body.
Yes.
And it multiplies.
And thankfully it hasn't.
No,
But yes.
thankfully it has not. And it multiplies in his body. Are we talking about the single virus that could have infected him, or all of the viruses and their multipliers within humans?
He has calculated add up all of the contributions to the viral load of each of the 3 million people who became infected on each of the previous days. Assuming the 3 million rate is a rough constant, I've got the calculations all right here for you. So you can double check his math.
Super excited. No, I could not.
So they were like, how much coronavirus is there out there right now? And so he calculated, I don't think it was all of the coronavirus of all of the people of the entire year, but it was all of the coronavirus active at that point in time. This was at
a point in time. So it's just at that time. So it's
correct.
Not, okay.
Yeah. So this was the article he wrote was on February 10th. So this is current. So he says, number one, there's a peak viral loads range from 1 billion to 100 billion virus particles in each person. So he says, we'll take a number in the middle, 10 billion. He says, add up all the contributions in the 3 million people who became infected on each of the previous days, assuming that 3 million is a rough constant. Then he says, roughly, that gives us 200 quadrillion virus particles in the world at any one time.
Mackerel, that's a lot.
Roughly the same as the number of grains of sand on the planet Earth.
Oh my, what?
Crazy, huh? This is like blow your mind, no?
All of the sand, like including like the Mojave Desert?
Every
like
grain of sand on the Earth.
Holy mackerel.
Yes.
Does that include the grains of sand in my car? Because it's a lot.
Yes. Then you have to remember that SARS-CoV-2 particles are extremely small. The diameters are between 80 and 120 nanometers. He says,
I don't know what any of this means.
let's take the large end of that, 120 nanometers. And then he says the whole volume, if you put them all together, would be 120 milliliters. But the sphere, when you try and pack together spheres, like when you pile a bunch of oranges, there's a lot of space in
wasted
between
space,
them. Yeah. 26% of the space is wasted. Then take into account that there are those spikes sticking off on the outside of
We
the
don't like
coronavirus.
the
So
spikes.
you got to consider the spikes. So when he goes through the calculation of everything, it still would not fill a Coke can. And we're talking about billions and what could be existent out in space. That is
I've been
amazing.
inside for a whole year because of that.
Because of a Coke can, less than a Coke can of virus out there.
Balloon. Now, to what you were saying, what I read from that is the total amount of virus that's been around for the last year is probably about 365 Coke cans.
Well,
worth
no,
of
he said it
virus.
was roughly a 3-day period of active virus.
So 100 Coke cans.
Yes.
Insane. But these
It would
numbers
fit in the
scare
trunk
me.
of your car.
As a physician, these numbers scare me. When they're talking about how many viral particles, we're talking in the quadrillions. That's why the effing variants happen. Because this is just so many particles that are reproducing and just changing a little bit. Scares me to death that we're going to get a variant that is vaccine resistant.
That was a big story.
Yeah.
That is bigger than Ben-Hur's bottom, by the way.
So again, this Coke can full of virus.
Is it actually full of virus? Because, oh, upsetting.
It's not funny.
No, it isn't. All of us are vaccinated here. We are herd immune.
Oh my gosh,
So to
that's
speak.
amazing. That's
So again,
viruses are small, and there's a lot of them.
yeah.
Very insightful. Very insightful.
And so you think about like what's out there in the universe, even in our solar system.
So many things.
So here's a crazy story. Scientists, now this may be the greatest, aside from the Coke can story, this may be the greatest science story of the decade.
Wow, that you're going to have to back that up, young man.
Scientists are shocked at water and organic material found on asteroid for the first time.
Is that because there was like a big sticker on the asteroid that had like a 9 in front of it, which signifies that it's organic?
You talking about like on trucks with
Produce.
yeah.
Sorry.
Too subtle.
I gave it a
So this is from
I
the
gave it a shot.
This is from the Independent in the UK.
Nice.
That's a new thing.
They write that
Nicely done.
these findings could rewrite our understanding of how the Earth developed. Scientists have found water and organic material on the surface of an asteroid sample collected by the Japanese JAXA Hayabusa mission in 2010. They've just gotten around to evaluating it. It's asteroid Itokawa. And from this asteroid, they found on a single grain of sand, we're back to sand.
How
There's
many
a theme.
virus particles is that?
They found on this single grain of sand both organic matter and water that they have concluded formed de novo on the asteroid. So this life, this organic material, did not come from somewhere outside the solar system and fly in. It developed on this asteroid like life developed on the planet Earth.
So when you say developed, that's where, like, does that mean it was there, or there was nothing there and it came from nothing?
There was a bunch of stuff that was inorganic, like hydrocarbon and water and stuff that didn't have any life to it.
Isn't water
And it-
organic? I don't. Okay, never mind.
No, I think organic meaning
Well,
like,
I mean, so let's say water, for instance. Are you saying that there were some hydrogen and some oxygen, and they came together on this asteroid?
Yeah, they'd been drinking, and stuff happens.
No,
Tom,
I'm
sometimes.
I don't understand.
Sometimes
this
the
stuff,
molecule
so I'm
falls
asking
for
the
another
question.
molecule.
But when you say that, like, they didn't come from someplace else, because, like, basically, if you think about the universe, like Big Bang, right, and everything existed at that particular time, and asteroids smashed into one another and like clipped the side of the Earth, and things combined and crashed together, like. Was there water there at that point? Like, what are
I think that's what they're saying. Is that no, just all of the other bits were there, and then water was formed.
just
And then when
came
they say organic material, are they talking about amino acids? Are they talking about proteins? What are they talking about exactly? Are they talking about marsupials? Crikey, there's bloody kangaroos on this asteroid, mate.
Does that mean they have a cloaca?
No, kangaroos don't have a cloaca, mate.
No, but I mean, other things do.
That's Weird.
Yeah, I'm looking to see what they called it.
I
but they
think
didn't
we
get
need to
into- they
phone a
just
friend.
Still call it organic material and water, and it's published in the journal Scientific Reports. These findings are really exciting as they reveal complex details of an asteroid's history and how its evolution pathway is so similar to that of the prebiotic Earth.
If this is true, just stick with me on it. If this is true, isn't this mean the universe is teeming with life?
Yes.
Wow, that was
Period.
quick.
End of story.
Teeming with it. Like there's life coming up the yin-yang.
So they're saying the asteroid has weathered extreme heat,
Yes.
dehydration, and shattering, but managed to reform and rehydrate using material it picked up. The study also shows that S-type asteroids, which are the most common ones that come to Earth, can contain the raw components of life.
Mm-hmm.
After being studied in great detail by an international team, our analysis of a single grain has preserved both primitive, unheated, and processed, heated, organic matter within 10 microns of a distance. The organic matter that has been heated indicates that the asteroid has been heated to over 600 degrees Celsius in the past, which I think is like 98 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't really understand the
It's
transformation.
like the valley on
Hot,
The
baby.
presence of unheated organic matter very close to it means that the fall in primitive organics arrived on the surface after the asteroid had cooled down. So that's pretty interesting as well. That means that they're literally like this asteroid was so hot, everything on it
sterile.
was gone.
Yeah, it was sterilized.
And then something
developed.
clicked on, like hit it,
Yeah.
fell on it from space,
And the only
some
difference
form.
the only difference from that grain of sand in the earth is that the earth is a ton larger.
It's bigger. Just in case you were wondering.
It's quite large.
It's
Isn't that
bigger.
crazy? So
Yeah.
this changes everything. So we've spent all this money going to places like Mars to
And
look for
Mars is
signs of
coming
life,
Thank goodness we have an atmosphere.
and we found it in a grain of sand from an asteroid that we bumped up
But
against and
it's-
grabbed a sample.
I've heard this before, though, years ago, that the theory that life on Earth has actually basically come from asteroids that have hit the Earth and they had the organic materials, and that's how life started here. So we need to talk to somebody who knows things about these things, because this is either fascinating or a yawn. Like, yeah, of course, organic materials occur all the place. Yeah, everywhere.
I think it's great.
But they've, okay,
Lizards are everywhere.
it's an excellent point. However, we've taken many samples from the moon
That's true.
and haven't had this level of discovery. The moon, you can see it. You can see all of the things that have crashed upon it over the years.
Yes.
Clearly at
Transformers
night.
and shit.
Okay. Thought we were having a real conversation, but apparently Mel went to somewhere
Sometimes
else.
I don't know what's real.
Yeah. But we had that not the case on the moon, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that this asteroid, like where, I don't know where, was it in the Kuiper Belt? Like where
No,
was
it's not
this-
that far out. It's
where
in the
was this-
asteroid belt between us and between our Mars and Jupe.
Between Mars and Jupiter, or between us and Mars?
No, I think it's between Mars and Jupiter.
Okay.
Itokawa.
So, man, but that's interesting, right? Because that, like, your theory that you just, not your theory, but the comment
My
that you just
theory, which
made
is mine and belongs
was
to me.
about like asteroids, which I guess this asteroid could have, the asteroids that hit the Earth, do they come from this place potentially,
Yeah,
or
I
do
think
we
they're
not
all
know?
kind of they're all parts of our solar system.
Fascinating. I don't know what this has to do with Teslas, but it is very
It is fascinating, but I do want to talk about the next one because I'm getting very sleepy and I want to go home.
What do you want to talk about?
SpaceX's new FCC filing requests to operate Starlink in moving vehicles, vessels, and spacecraft.
Thank goodness.
It's
Aircraft, not
exciting,
spacecraft.
isn't it?
So, Robert, tell us about it because,
Well, yeah. Up until now, if you got did you get your Starlink, by the way?
All right, do you want me to give you the Starlink update?
I just want a quick yes or no, and then we can ask. I'll ask you again. Okay,
No.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I didn't. But I've got an update. No. Quick answer is no. If you want an answer that is really fast to the point and you can just move on, the answer is no. If you want a longer answer, that would take a little further.
Can I get a little bit of clarification on the answer? So what you're telling me is if I ask you for a very, very short answer,
Yes,
a tiny little,
tiny
just a
answer.
nuisance,
Yes.
like a Susan of an answer, so we can like get the answer and
Yeah.
just move on to Robert's next
Got
point.
it.
That
Yes.
answer is?
That would be no. If you wanted a short answer like that, it would just like come out
Okay.
like it would be like no.
Okay.
Now it wouldn't be like no because that would take a lot longer. It would be like
Okay.
a quick no,
So-
and we'd move on.
So a longer
So-
answer though would be like you would be very, very involved. You'd say like something like, "No, Robert, I haven't really gotten
There'd be
anything yet. I got
multiple
this message,
sentences.
this email. There'd be all this other
Yeah.
stuff." That would be the longer answer.
That would
to
be
the-
way longer. It'd
Okay,
be
thank you for
multiple
clearing that up.
sentences.
All right, Robert.
There'd be a lot of stuff.
Please finish.
So no for the short answer.
Tequila's kicking in. So this is very good news. A lot of people have wanted to put their Starlink antennas on their Winnebagos and their mobile homes or their boats. They've wanted to use them in multiple locations, but it turns out that the Starlink is geofenced, so that if you move it for some distance, I'm not sure what the distance is, away from the place where you initiate your service, it just goes out. One guy wrote, I can't remember if it was Twitter or somewhere, that he had it in one place on his property. It wasn't getting good reception, so he moved it to another place and it got invalidated because he moved it off far enough away. And then he had to go back to Starlink and work it out with them.
I hate it when my Starlink gets invalidated.
And how many people would like to put this on their camper?
I don't see any reason to have this if you can't move it around.
To me,
I don't see
that's
any
the
reason
whole, not the
not
whole
to have
point,
it.
but it's the gigantic point. I'm with Tom.
Well, the real reason is to provide broadband internet connectivity for people in rural areas. I get that.
Yeah, like
but
the folks up in northern Canada.
it's a satellite. Satellites move.
Right.
Satellite TV has existed on recreational vehicles for a really long time. Satellite internet is mobile, right? Like Usenet.
Sat phones.
Sat phones. Thank you very much. You don't just sit in one place. So it doesn't make any sense for it to not be at least mobile capable. Whether or not that's an add-on, that's fine, right? Like
Right.
maybe there's more tracking that needs to be involved, maybe a higher level of computer programming involved in that sort of thing.
Yes.
Cool. I'll pay for what I need to pay for.
Yeah.
But
That would be super wild to have that
yeah.
and like be able to be working and be mobile anywhere.
I'm torn, big time torn by this because
Why?
yes, I would love to have Starlink wherever I was when I was out camping
but then
in
you
the middle
wouldn't
of
be,
nowhere. But
you
then
wouldn't
I'm
be.
right.
Yeah, you'd be watching Netflix instead of the stars.
Because if I go someplace and I can get some work done, I'm probably going to get some work done. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
So want that.
or if like I'm sitting around the campground, like right now, what happens here, like if we're sitting around this table and we have a question, somebody's going to Google it or they're going to look it up and we're going to have the answer to whatever that is. Around the campfire, that's not how that works. Around the campfire, like, oh, I don't know, we'll have to check later.
Around the campfire, the loudest voice determines what is true.
Yeah, or the guy that's holding the axe.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that guy.
that's how it works.
It's usually how it works.
I mean, that's like how it works in
Do
my
you,
group.
do you want me to give you the Mel Herbert specific update for Starlink?
Yeah, please.
The short answer or the long answer?
Actually, the long answer, it turns out, is not that much longer than the short answer. The short
but.
answer is that is intermediate. Is no further updates about the one that here in the Los Angeles area.
We have more than one application.
So now
Look at you, game in the system.
there was a call from the cousin in Australia saying, oh, Starlink is going to be available in the summer.
Cousin
or a little
Dave?
bit- Cousin Cece.
Okay, good.
In Port Macquarie, which is sort of between Sydney and Brisbane, and it's sort of rural.
No one knows where that is.
Nobody cares.
We have
Except
a
the people
bunch
in
of
Port Macquarie.
Australian listeners.
I'm just saying, I don't know where that is. You have to be more specific. Western coast, eastern
It's,
coast.
5 hours north of Sydney on the coast. Beautiful place.
Okay.
God's country.
Still nothing. Southern Australia,
That's
north.
East Coast.
Thank you.
You know where Sydney
East
is?
Coast.
East
I
Coast.
don't. That's why I said no one
Get out
knows,
more.
and by no one I meant me.
So I put a second order in because when I go to Port Macquarie, and I do go to Port Macquarie, when there's not a pandemic filling up Coke cans full of viruses, we have a hard time getting fast internet. So it is hard to work there. It's hard to stay there when you're trying to like run a business. But we're like, if we get Starlink and we get fast speeds, boom, That is Studio
It's a game,
Australia.
It's a game changer. That's what
It's
that is.
bigger than... Look, there's Ben-Hur. And he
There's
has these gluteus maximus. That's huge.
Not Circus Maximus.
No.
Gluteus Maximus.
It's big. I'm just saying.
That's very cool. So
Did you know that in Port Macquarie, the Billabong Zoo is known for its koala breeding center?
No.
Yeah, there's a koala centre there, but
that's
right
great.
now they're having horrible rain. So, Australia
Okay.
last year burnt down. Now it's flooding.
Let's try to focus.
Right, and it's at the
Starlink.
mouth of the Hastings River, so
Starlink.
it must be really bad.
We got 1,205 of these satellites in orbit. I watched a launch last week with 60 more of them. Lovely, wonderful landing. Everything was very, very nominal. Everything was.
Why does that
it
word?
was-
I don't like that word.
It was so very nominal. It's good. If you worked in space, you would love nominal.
I hear nominal. I'm like, oh, what's wrong?
nominal is
It's
it's
nominal's
great.
like average. I'm like, oh,
Nominal
God.
is the best thing that could ever happen.
It's like a
in
version
space.
of normal.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's
to
just
me, it
nominal.
doesn't seem like
Everything
that.
is
The active
nominal.
of normal.
It's all nominal. It's just nominal. It's good. Things are going on.
So now they're accepting pre-orders for this mobile Starlink.
Oh, hello.
Tom is getting
Tom's
on,
getting
the
on right
iPad.
now.
Hello. This show is now over. They are.
There are? Because
Yeah.
I would like some.
It says in this
mobile.
article, which I pilfered from Tasmanian,
That's a
who's
thing.
one of our buddies down in the southern hemisphere of Australia.
With the German accent.
With a German accent. He's from Bavaria,
He says the dish antenna cannot be moved typically, like right now. The dish antenna cannot be moved far from the specific user location to receive connection. In fact, they say, quote, your Starlink is assigned to a single cell. If you move your Starlink outside of its assigned cell, a satellite will not be scheduled to serve your Starlink and you will not receive internet.
So
However, they are now going to license to moving vehicles, vessels, and aircraft. And this Coke can that I've been holding up is a vessel of sorts. But I don't think that's the vessel they're talking about.
no, it's not. But I don't see it. So I just went to Starlink.com because you said they were accepting pre-orders. They are accepting pre-orders still for Starlink. I don't see any pre-orders for the mobile version of Starlink. On the website, as it says right now, Starlink is available to a limited number of users per coverage area at this time. Orders will be fulfilled on a first-come, first-serve basis. It doesn't say anything about the mobile version. It says ideal for rural and remote communities. It's preserving the night sky. That's not true. They should delete that part.
It's full self-preserving night sky.
Oh, nice. It's engineered by SpaceX. Did you guys know that? It's a SpaceX product.
That's
Yeah.
good. It's
It's amazing,
great.
isn't
They have
it?
10,000 employees over there now. Isn't that
It's crazy because they're cranking out the Raptor engines.
pretty darn impressive?
And I put up at the top of this section what's going on at SpaceX Boca Chica, the latest schematic that shows that SN11, the Starship that is next to launch, is on the launch pad now. SN15 is all ready to go. That's the next one up. 16 is almost done. And then as we go to 17, 18, 19, and 20, they have decreasing amounts of completion. But just to the right of that, and this is a schematic that's created by Brendan Lewis, @_Brendan_Lewis on Twitter.
Brendan. Thanks, Brendan. It's cool.
It's very cool. But you see what's at the far right? BN1. That's the booster. It's now being stacked and may have already been stacked by the time this show is airing.
So you
And
say.
they're going to pressurize it and do all those tests. My understanding is they're not going to fire it. It's the first of its kind. It's giant in size. In fact, they built this high bay structure building in which to actually build it, and that the next one, BN2, will be the flying booster. It's going to have the giant modified titanium fins on it, and it's all looking pretty exciting at this point.
So I just want to get some clarification. The BN1 schematic in here, is that it shows two different things. Do they get stacked on one another?
Correct.
So BN1 is currently in two pieces, and could potentially be stacked to create an entire booster system at which the Starship will then sit on top of. Is that correct?
That's correct. Actually, this is as
That
of
thing
March
is going to be
13th.
massive.
It's massive.
Bigger than Ben-Hur's gluteus maximus.
That's correct. Yes, much bigger than that.
I've got a question.
Ooh.
You got your serial number 11,
Uh-huh.
and we're putting it up there, and we're hoping it's going to fly, and I'm personally hoping it's going to land, and then about 5 minutes later explode, because that was awesome.
I like it.
And then you've got your serial number 15. Mm-hmm. Now, I grew up in Australia, and I went to public school, and I'm not a smart man. But aren't we missing 12, 13, and 14? What happened to those puppies?
That's a good question. I mean, that's a solid observation from the Southern Hemisphere.
My understanding is that
They already blew up?
11, 12, 13, and 14 were all of a particular generation.
Okay.
They were to be based on the same design. And they realized they needed to change the design so that they didn't have the same problems with fuel holding up and not ending up in the engines as they were flipping and maneuvering them. So 15 is a reiteration, a changed design. And they're going to skip the 12, 13, and 14 and move right to 15.
That is an explanation that I can accept. And I guess they're still going to try and fly serial number 11 because there's going to get some useful information out of that even though it's the old design, the design that's stinky and doesn't work properly, might still give some useful
It's
information.
those little feet. It's the little feet problem.
It's the tiny, tiny feet. You need bigger feet.
He didn't even ask where the one right before 11 is 7.2.
Yeah, that one's still
So
sitting there.
7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 8.1, 8. No, you didn't ask about any of those.
No, because I'm not stupid, Tom. I know what happened there. It's tiny.
I think 7.2 is still on this diagram because it still exists, whereas all of the ones
I
that
think
came,
it's on there to show you scale. That's just me. I'm just saying.
But how does that show you scale? Because you don't know
Because
how big
everybody
that
knows.
thing is.
Everybody knows what an SN 7.2 is, how big that is.
obvious.
It's obvious.
Okay, that's cool.
I wish they would put a
I like your
human in
thinking.
there to show you the actual size. Because
That
Yeah,
would
it
show
is.
you-
It's in there.
Where?
You can't see it.
That would show you
It's
scale.
so damn small.
Oh, you're like joking
That
to
would-
me.
that would definitely show you scale. So what's the next one they're going to fly of these starships? And I have to admit, the more I see this thing fly, the more cool and exciting it is. You see people on the beach and they're just like, oh my God, this
Yeah.
thing is amazing. And they're doing flips and all kinds of cool stuff with it. And this is the one theoretically that's going to like take off and fly out to the mobile platforms and take off
Yes.
from the mobile platforms and all that.
And it's
good
also going to
stuff.
take the hello or goodbye moon. No, I'm getting my names confused because we've had tequila.
It's so
It's going to take.
exciting.
It's going to take the Japanese entrepreneur and 8 artists to go around the moon and come back. It's going to be on this ship. Plus,
Okay.
this ship could hold hundreds of Starlink satellites.
Here's a question for you.
Yes.
You guys are going to like this one.
This is going to be a good question.
This one's going to be
It's
a
going
good
to be
one.
my last because I'm going.
What is
Done here.
first? What
Chicken.
you-
Or the,
I got a way better joke that I can't tell on this show, but if you stick around, I'll tell you guys that joke. What comes first?
egg.
SN, whatever number you want, mounted on top of booster number, whatever you want, flying around the moon with human beings in it as tourists, or level 4 full self-driving.
You go in there. You set it up. And you went too slow, and I worked it out.
What do you think, Mel?
I have no idea. I think he's actually much better at rocketry because it's an easier thing to do, I think, than full self-driving is a hard thing. Turns out humans, we complain about how bad we are at driving. Turns out we're not as bad as some of these AI people think.
Flying a gigantic thing around the moon, bringing it back with people in it, and landing it on easier
Then going to Ralph's.
than driving, than sending your car off to pick your son up at school.
Well, let me say that we've already done a trip to the moon where we went around the moon. We've already done a trip to the moon where we landed and came back from the moon
Okay.
6 times.
So you say.
I
Actually-
think it's going to be full self-driving.
Actually,
first.
the real story there is that we did CGI back in the 60s.
So then what does that put this trip around the moon date at, in your opinion?
2 years.
Full self-driving in under 2 years. I call.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was amazing. I really am glad I asked that question now.
How long have we been talking for? I've lost track.
Over an hour.
On
Do you guys want to just move down to the letters?
Let's do it. Let's
do
move
it,
to the
because
letters.
this
Let's do.
dude
Is it
again.
letters or is it?
Well,
is
let's
it,
stop off at superchargers because we just had a
Superchar-
quick supercharger
There's
Yeah.
story.
more?
Well,
Supercharger?
of
But it's
course,
been a
they're making
week.
more superchargers.
Oh,
But we were talking
my
about
God.
Ojai.
But in the last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the last week we
Week
were
that is 10
talking.
minutes.
We were talking about you guys. We were talking about golfing in Ojai. You guys said that you loved golfing in Ojai.
we
Love it.
didn't actually say that.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I mean, we
I
knew
do.
the course.
I do.
I've
I-
never golfed there, but
love it.
I'm.
You like both of the courses.
Both of the courses.
One's a public course and one's a very expensive course.
One's
Okay.
at the Ojai Valley Inn, which is a nice place to stay, but very expensive. And the other one
That's
was
the
Salt Park.
only place, the only time I've ever been on a full golf course was at the Ojai Valley Inn.
What were you doing?
I was in a golf tournament, but all I did was walk the course because I don't know how to play golf. Someday I'll learn, and then I'll have no life outside of talking Tesla and golfing with you two nerds.
You don't need a life out of those two things, Robert.
You're
what
right.
else
That will
could you
be so
possibly need?
fulfilled.
Because there would be
so
alcohol,
happy.
there would be good food,
'Cause this is what
and
it
there would
looks
be
like.
play and sun.
This is what it looks like to play golf with Mel and I. You get up very, very early.
Okay.
You're the first one out on the course. You're walking. The
Yes.
sun is rising. The balls are flying left and right of where they're supposed to
They're
be.
hitting trees
They're-
and children.
Mel is doing all sorts of dances. He's dressed terribly.
Ooh, really?
Typically, very cold man.
Yeah.
It's very cold. And then we golf. We loop. We loop around the course. We
Loop around?
Yeah, that's what we call it. We loop around the course.
Does that mean like you re-golf?
We're loopers.
We're loopers.
And-
Go in time.
And we and then we go into the clubhouse when that was a thing.
Yeah.
And it will be a thing once again. And we have breakfast together.
Yes.
We have a breakfast burrito
Oh,
typically
delicious.
with the salsas and the hot sauces.
Yes.
And there's golf on the television. And then we go our separate ways. Sometimes, however, after that happens, we play golf again.
Sometimes it happens.
And the same
OMG.
day.
Yeah.
The same day we play golf again. And occasionally, very, very occasionally, we play golf again.
Again.
We've done
That's happened.
double plus golf in a
And
day.
somewhere in there, I have an enormous bowel movement because
Yeah.
that burrito's
That
got
was
to come
not
out.
something that we needed to share
Oh,
with the
is that-
situation. And so then you imagine that's Monday and say a Wednesday and Tuesday you're recovering from that sort of a
'cause
situation.
a lot of walking.
And maybe you come in here and you record some talking Tesla. Like that's what you're taught. That's the
That's the
life you are
nirvana.
living.
You could be.
In that particular situation.
You remember those days, Tom? That was so good.
They were so good. So what do you want to say about the Ojai Valley Supercharger, Robert? You've been let's call it hiding the headline.
Burying the lead.
Burying the lead.
Well, we
That's what I
talked
meant to
about
say.
the golfing and the Ojai, and Mel said, and there's a supercharger in between the two golf courses in Ojai.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got an Electrify America station in there.
Oh.
But when I went by there, when I was in Ojai last week,
Last week today.
I noticed that they were only the 72 kilowatt chargers. And I thought, why? You're up here. You've got the opportunity. Why? Because this is not an old supercharger. It's a fairly new supercharger. Well, what I found out was another planning commission and another city council decided that the large superchargers, the tallish white ones with the red lettering atop that say Tesla,
Ugly.
are ugly. They're too noticeable.
Ostentatious.
And they wanted to have the smaller, shorter, more compact looking
They are pretty.
chargers.
I do like those ones visually.
That is why you're not charging at 250 kilowatts in Ojai.
Can you put 250 kilowatts through the shortest W ones? Why not?
I don't know.
So is it-
Science, Mel.
the plastic thing that covers it has got to be 5 foot
It's
tall.
science. Well, my guess is that there's more like electronics, bigger conduit. There's all sorts of things
not
that are
buying
involved.
it, Tom.
There's things.
I'm
there's
not.
things. There's things like
There-
wire gauges involved. I'm
Not.
assuming.
purchasing that argument. Not
Okay.
purchasing it.
Okay,
I
well,
believe
it's
it
not-
is
I wasn't
incorrect. I
actually-
believe it is wrong.
I wasn't actually selling that argument, but it's just.
Can we
that
do media
we're
picks?
just having a
Because
conversation. Please.
want to go home.
I'm going to do my media pick first. I don't know.
Is it The Expanse?
I don't know what Robert. So at the end of last week's show,
Which
Robert
was-
said that there was some movie that I was talking to him about, and I would call secondary memory loss because I don't know what you would actually call it. I just don't remember things in a big and meaningful way. What was I talking about, Robert? Because I don't think that's my media pick, but it might be. What movie was I talking about?
You were talking about Good Night, Midnight?
Oh, The Midnight Sky.
The Midnight
No,
Sky.
That movie's not good. That movie is fine if you like science fiction
I do.
and you can
You like George Clooney?
and you like George
I do.
Clooney
It's
and you
called-
like Arctic locations and
I don't.
and space stations.
It's called Good Morning, Midnight.
Is it?
Isn't it? I mean, that's the name of the book.
No, they
my
call it The
thumb.
Midnight Sky. The movie is called The Midnight Sky. It's
Well,
on
that
the places that you stream the things. And I watched it and I enjoyed it and it was good and you can watch it and that could potentially be a media pick, but it's not.
It's not your media pick.
today's media pick. And today's media pick is a documentary called Korean Pork Belly Rhapsody. It's 2 episodes. I've only watched the first one, and it's about the Korean people's love of pork belly, which is a food item because it's got the word pork in it, and they grill it in many ways and they prepare it in many ways. But what I love most about this documentary is how beautifully shot it is. It's not the greatest thing in the world, and we all know the problems with meat production in general. The one thing that I learned about this, which I thought was very, very fascinating, recently, the production of pork in Korea surpassed the production of rice in Korea. And I don't know if that's by volume,
Really?
by acreage, by whatever it is. Seems like a big deal. That's how much that they love to eat pork belly. It's
Isn't that bacon?
It is. Well, bacon is a cured pork belly product. Pork belly encompasses,
So you got your bacon, you got your ham,
yeah.
you got your pork.
And if you eat enough of it, you get a belly.
What magical animal could produce so many things?
Okay, Homer.
Thank you. Boom. Homer
There's no
Simpson.
possible way I'm not catching that reference. There's no way. But basically, The Midnight Sky, it is a 2021 Oscar nominee in the aftermath of a global catastrophe that they never quite tell
don't
you
say.
what it is.
Yeah.
A lone scientist in the Arctic races to contact a crew of astronauts with a warning not to return to Earth because, well, Earth is dying, and they have a perfectly good spaceship. And the reason that they're out in this spaceship is because they found a moon. The George Clooney character found a moon circulating around the
Uranus?
Jupiter. no, circulating around the Jupiter that had very, very similar abilities to collect life, to have life. They actually were on this planet at one point in this movie.
I've
Still,
seen it. It's actually, I thought it was pretty good.
It's not very good. but-
I
It
agree
was
to disagree.
confusing. It was.
yeah, there's some gravitational issues. There's parts where there's gravity, and there's parts where there isn't gravity, and that the way
Not
they did
internally
that,
consistent, which is the
doesn't-
destroyer of
doesn't-
movies for people who actually
Pay attention.
pay attention.
Pay attention
For
to
those
things
of us
like
that are not sophisticated, bring on the ridiculousness.
And Mel's media pick is going to be
The Expanse.
what?
Yeah, it's like the Ozarks of outer space. And so I continue to pick it.
Like your nose.
It just keeps
and your
giving
butt.
and
Yes.
giving and giving to you.
Robert,
I picked a documentary that was made 5 years after a story we reported here on Talking Tesla. 5 years ago, the AI folks at Google built a program to play the game Go, which is a Chinese game.
We
It's been around for
reported.
thousands of years.
we reported.
As if we were reporters
Well, we're
with
not.
degrees in journalism, which we do not have.
We did discuss it, and we did make fun.
Okay.
And so there is a documentary now called Alphago. It's on YouTube. You don't have to pay to watch it. And it chronicles their thinking, their approach, and the actual accomplishment, which is considered still to this day the greatest achievement of artificial intelligence.
Except for full self-driving.
Exactly. But they say that full self-driving will exist within 2 years, so you'll lose that bet.
Well, you said that.
Should we do letters?
Let's do letters.
Okay, I'm going to start.
Go.
5-star reviews. Now, to get on this show, to be a part of the magic that is Talking Tesla, you have to leave us a 5-star review. Robert, do you remember where they have to leave us a 5-star review?
Yes, on Apple Podcasts.
Alpo?
Alpo Podcasts.
Is that different? Is that a different $2 trillion company? Alpo? Okay. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and we will attempt to read your letter. No, we won't attempt. We will actually read your letter on this show. We're going to start with York Blazer, which is a very, very cool username. Hysterical and informative. We asked you guys to review this show.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I don't know what's going on. I've been listening for years, and I am proud to finally have the intro memorized.
What?
I don't know what that
I've seen the future.
I always look forward to shows dropping. It helps pass the time at work, plus road trips, or even a bubble bath. Ooh, hello. Started listening with a Chevy Volt. That's weird. I use like a phone and radios and stuff like that. No. And recently upgraded to a Model Y. Good for you. Thank you very much. Love the range of personality and hysterically dry humor.
Thank you. Must be talking about me. All right, I'll do the next one. My favorite podcast. I've been listening to this podcast since the beginning. Yes, 6 whole years. And I still look forward to each episode. My CAT scan is pending. If you're wanting a podcast where everything is outlined and there is no deviation from the topic at hand, this show is not for you. If you want to feel like a fly on the wall of your best friend's basement and laugh hysterically while listening to the banter of 4 individuals that are obviously passionate about Tesla, green energy, and the future, then look no further. Keep up the good work. P.S. I'm an ER physician and I've also been listening to AMRAP since 2001. Mel is a legend. Whoa. And that was Shmeeface 2.
No, it was absolutely not Shmeeface. That was Jeremy M.K.
Oh, well, something happened to my thing here.
They're at the top. The people who did it.
I don't have it at
first.
the top.
You do. You just have to look for it
It's
before
really
the
detracting
page.
from the fact that Mel is a legend.
No, I understand that. Well, you can look over at Robert is not a legend at building this thing so it's actually readable. And I've asked him this question 2 times today. And the only reason I know is because he finally explained it to me.
So you're saying I am a legend?
You are a legend. And this was written by Jeremy M.K.,
Jeremy.
not Smeeface 2. Because Smeeface 2 writes, defending Tesla. A previous rater said it was unhealthy to feel personally attacked when people say negative things about Tesla. I feel it's a blurred line. I have a coworker who reads all the FUD, and I find it hard to resist debunking that, and I do care. Is my relationship with Tesla unhealthy? Probably, but what is healthy? In a world that has multiple realities, fake news, short seller FUD, and all of us on the other side who are sometimes blind to shortcomings, etc., on second thought, I don't really care. I just wanted Tom to have something to read. Thank you, Smeeface, too.
Geek Pilot writes, like sitting back with friends drinking beer. I love this.
I'll drink to that.
I've been listening for years. There's a penciled-in order to the show. Most of the technical stuff is correct.
Most.
I feel like I'm sitting with a bunch of guys drinking beer talking about Teslas. Every now and then, there's an elbow raise.
It says eyebrow.
Oh, it is an eyebrow, but I said elbow both times I read this.
Yeah, you're not very...
Take 4. Every now and again, there is an eyebrow raise on some details, but it is still one of the top Tesla podcasts out there.
What do you mean, one of the top? Come on.
No, that's accurate. That's accurate. And the next
Pilot,
one comes
thank you.
via, I guess it comes via the Twitter, maybe
Yes,
the Facebook.
it's
I don't
the
know.
Twitter.
Mark Garnett. I've been listening to you guys since 2016 or 2017. We're not sure. We're not sure either. You are the most consistent, entertaining, and educated EV podcast out there. Recently, I've gone back to the beginning to try to work out when I started listening, and that's just re-emphasized the above. Some very deep and relevant thoughts 4 and 5 years ago about what might be happening in 2020 and 2021. Please keep it going. If there's ever a chance of a car sticker, I'd happily pay for one posted to the UK. Mark Garnett, the original Worcester in UK, long-term but very minor Patreon contributor. No such thing as a minor Patreon contributor. Mark, thank you very, very much. That is a wonderful, wonderful message
Well, let's
to
just
send
take it
us.
back a second. Mark, just exactly how much are you giving a Patreon? Because unlike Tom, I believe that there are minor Patreon contributors. So you want to
Don't
step
listen
up
to
your
him,
game,
Mark.
Mark? Do you want to?
Robert is going to send you a sticker. You're welcome, Robert. I don't know how.
Pimp me out.
Probably need to DM us in some way, but we'll work it out. We'll make it happen. We thank you very much. That's a wonderful note encompassing all of the hard work that we've done over the years, and we're very, very appreciative. We do it for the love of it.
Yes.
We do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
We do it because you guys keep listening and because you send us wonderful 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts, Mrs.
We do it for the cash. So become a Patreon or it's going to stop. We need some bank up in this thing. Got to get the dollars, you know?
Yeah.
Got
The
some
Benjamins.
habits.
The Benjamins.
Got some things.
The
Got to pay for.
stacks.
Got some grills that need to be grilled. Got some stuff.
Grills that need to be grilled?
Yeah, I'm thinking like the teeth with the grills.
But you don't grill the grills. You wear the grills.
Well,
You got to get the grills
I'll make it out
created.
of pork and cook it up.
Okay.
I'm just saying. It's about the cash.
All right.
And also, if you want to buy a Tesla and you have family members who want to buy a Tesla and you have friends who want to buy a Tesla, just send them to www.talkingtesla.net/support. And there will be a referral code there that is not DL.
Because the show's about the cash. It's about getting the cash.
That was a referral to the show we did last
I want to
week.
be
You
like
had to
in
be there.
Scarface when they're talking about, you know, the biggest problem with being a drug dealer? Where to put all the fucking money. That's what I want to be like.
Yeah, this
Well, you
is
know what?
not this is not the venue.
You know what the
for
biggest
that.
problem with Talking Tesla podcast? What do you do with all the fucking money? That's how I want it to be. We'll be at the cash.
That would be awesome. Because then the dream of double golfing and then recording every day.
We
Can
could
you
do
imagine
it
if we did this every day. Would we still like each other?
No.
I don't know about that. I think we would.
I don't think I'd have a liver.
Because this is going to stop.
Well, that could be. That
Show's
could be an
over.
issue.
This guy's done. He's elderly. Got to go home. Probably going to be incontinent in the bed. Lots of things are going to happen.
What?
Yeah.
Why would you end a show like that?
Because I'm trying to be real,
The next
Tom.
time we get together, we're going to do our 200th show.
That is weird.
Isn't
What
that
are we going to
amazing?
do?
A show.
A show.
All right, I like it. Thanks for
you.
listening.
Thank
Hey,
you to
Joel,
everybody.
get better. It's been weeks, 10 minutes since you were sick.
Joel.
But I hope you're better by next time.
Joel, you're in a lot of trouble. Get rid of the crown, Joel. Get rid of it. Get rid of the crown, Joel. I'm warning you.